Good morning. Plato's Gorgias, day 9, Polus speaking. And I maintain that neither I nor any other man so believes. Why would you rather suffer than do wrong? Socrates. Yes, and so would you and everyone else. Far from it. Neither I nor you nor anyone. Will you answer then? Certainly, for I am anxious to know what you will say. If you wish to know, then answer me as if I were beginning my question to you. Which do you consider the worse, Polus, to do or to suffer wrong? I, to suffer wrong. Well, and is it more shameful to do or to suffer wrong? To do wrong. Is it not worse also, if more shameful? By no means. I see. Apparently you do not consider the good and the fair to be the same, nor the evil and the shameful. I do not. On the next point, when you call things fair, such as bodies and colors and figures and sounds and institutions, you must do so surely with reference to some standard. For instance, in the first place, do you not call bodies fair either in virtue of the service for which each one is useful, or the pleasure which the sight of them produces in the beholder? Is there any reason outside these which you can give for calling a body fair? I can give none. Do you not in the same way name all other things also? Figures perhaps or colors, fair either because of some pleasure or use they render, or for both reasons together? I do. And similarly with sounds and all that is concerned with music. Yes. And further with regards to laws and institutions, the fine ones I mean, their beauty does not lie outside these limits of the pleasurable, the useful, or both. No, I do not think so. And it is the same with the beauty of forms of learning. Certainly. And now you are offering a fine definition of the beautiful, Socrates, in defining it by pleasure and the good. Then you define the base by the opposite, pain and evil, necessarily. Therefore, when of two things that are fine one excels the other in beauty, that superior excellence is due to superior pleasure, or usefulness, or both. Certainly. And when of two things shameful one exceeds the other in baseness, the success will be due to an excess either of pain or of evil. Must it not be so? Yes. Well then, what was said just now about doing and suffering wrong? Did you not say it is worse to suffer wrong, but more shameful to inflict it? I said so. But if it is more shameful to do than to suffer wrong, it is either more painful and more shameful through excess of pain or of evil, or both. Must this not be so? Of course. Now let us first consider whether the infliction of wrong exceeds the suffering of it in pain, and whether wrongdoers suffer more pain than their victims. That can never be, Socrates. Then the excess is not in pain? Surely not. And if not in pain, the excess could not be in both, so evidently not. Then only the other alternative is left. Yes, namely evil, so it appears. Then to inflict wrong is worse than to suffer it through an excess of evil. That is obvious. Now were not you and the majority of men in agreement before that it is more shameful to do than to suffer wrong? Yes. And now it has been shown to be more evil. So it appears. And would you choose the more evil and shameful in preference to the less? Do not hesitate to answer, Polus, for it will do you no hurt, but submit nobly to the argument as you would to a doctor, and say either yes or no to my question. No, I would not prefer it, Socrates. And would anyone else? Not according to this argument, I think. Then I spoke truth when I said that neither I, nor you, nor any man whatever would rather do than suffer wrong, for to do it is worse. Evidently. You see then, Polus, that when our proofs are set side by side there is no resemblance. And though all other men except me agree with you, I require no witness to testify for me to save you alone. And putting you alone to the vote, I ignore the rest. Well, so much for that. And now let us investigate the second point at issue between us. Whether as you thought, to be punished when guilty is the greatest of evils, or as I thought, it is the greater evil to escape punishment. Let us consider it in the following way. Would you say that to suffer punishment is the same thing as to be justly chastised when guilty? I would. Now, can you deny that all just things are fine in so far as they are just? Think well before you answer. In my opinion, they are, Socrates. Now consider this further point. When a man acts, must there not always be something acted upon by the agent? I think so. And does it not experience what the agent does? And is not the quality of the experience and the action the same? I mean, for example, if a man strikes, there must be something struck. They must. And if the striker strikes hard or fast, the blow received by the stricken must be of like quality. Yes. Then the experience of the stricken is of the same quality as the action of the striker. Certainly. And if a man burns, there must be a thing burned. Of course. And if he burns severely or painfully, the thing burned must be burned in the same way. Certainly. And the same reasoning applies if a man cuts. There is a thing cut. Yes. And if the cut be big or deep or painful, the object cut must be cut in the same way, evidently. Then consider whether you agree to what I said just now as a general rule in every case, namely that the quality of the patient's experience corresponds to that of the agent's action. I agree. This being admitted, tell me whether to be punished is to suffer or to act. Necessarily it is to suffer, Socrates. At the hands of some agent, of course, the inflictor of the punishment. And he who rightly inflicts it punishes justly, yes, acting justly or not, justly. And so he who is punished suffers justly when he pays that just penalty, evidently. And we have agreed that things just are fine or honorable, certainly. Then of the two, one does, the other, the punished, suffers. What is honorable? Yes. And if honorable, good, for the honorable is either pleasant or profitable. Assuredly. So he who is punished justly suffers what is good, apparently, and is therefore benefited. Yes. Is it the kind of benefit that I imagine? Is his soul bettered if he is justly punished? It seems probable. Then he who is punished is rid of evil in the soul. Yes. Is he not then freed from the greatest of evils? Look at it in this way. In the fabric of a man's material estate, do you see any other evil than poverty? No, only poverty. And what about his bodily constitution? Would you say its evil is weakness and sickness and ugliness and such things? Is it evil to be ugly? I would. And do you consider there is an evil condition of the soul? Certainly. And do you call this injustice and ignorance and cowardice and the like? Injustice and ignorance and cowardice and the like? Certainly. Then for these three, material fortune, body and soul, you have named three evils: poverty, disease, and injustice. Yes. Now which of these evils is the most shameful? Is it not injustice and the evil of the soul in general? Yes, by far. And if the most shameful, then also the worst. What do you mean, Socrates? I mean that what is most shameful is so, as we have already admitted, because it produces the greatest pain or harm or both. Certainly. And we have just now agreed that injustice and all evil of the soul is most shameful. We have agreed. Then it is either most painful and most shameful through an excess of pain or else of harm, or of both. That is necessary. Now are injustice and intemperance and cowardice and ignorance more painful than poverty and sickness? That does not seem to result from our discussion, Socrates. Then if evil of the soul by your verdict does not exceed other evils in painfulness, its superlative shamefulness must be due to a harm and a viciousness immeasurably and surpassingly great, evidently. but that which exceeds most in harm must be greatest of all possible evils. Yes. Then injustice and intemperance and other vices of the soul are the greatest of all evils. Clearly. Tot zover ons skriflesing.